So, but go on. There's a question.
Oh yeah, no, it's more of a comment. I was going to say it's a cool little demo. I can't wait to download it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Good feedback. All right.
All right. Yeah. So this is just another way of doing it. There's a lot of solutions, and I just wanted. Somebody asked it. It was an interesting question, and the first time I saw the question, I was like, I'm not sure I could do that because what they showed was this dial that had both a translucent segment, it had a non-translucent segment, it had a background image. It had a lot of different things going on. I was like, huh. And I was thinking in terms of Jason's his solution, where he basically creates wedges that are the dial segment wedges. And I was thinking, how would I create a multi-portion dial that has a translucent and a non-translucent part using the wedges technique? And then I said, you know what? Free your mind. Let's just back up for a minute and think about the mechanics of what's going on here. Yes, and then my head exploded. And after I cleaned that up, I thought, wait. This is really just two masks. And if we don't generate on the fly, then this is what we would do. And so it's something I think that a lot of people will be able to engage with once they get past perhaps my naming convention here. And they should be able to take and expand it to their own uses. And
really cool.
It's going to leave us. I knew I shouldn't have introduced it.
When you open Pandora's box there. Hey, well, that's excellent. So we'll put a link in the show notes to it, and people can download it and play with it. If you guys come up with a shader version, I definitely would like to see that as well. I mean, again, shaders are definitely not something that I've played with. So, it might be a little more daunting to kind of go down that road, but we, all have. Well, I think we all have to. Well, I don't have to, but I think it would be good for us to kind of all become familiar with those things because it seems like it's more and more of the conversation these days. So.
There's definitely some cool work being done with them.
Pixel camera.
Yeah. Yes, Pixel camera. We're going to get the link. Hey, I just wanted to say, Sergey and Steven, you guys have both been sort of leading the charge on putting stuff out on the thread there, and I definitely would like to see anything that has to do with a dial, because I'm still really not good at the whole shader thing, but I do want to learn more about it. So that'd be a nice connect for me, having sort of like the basis here and being able to say, aha, so that's what's going on. So.
Okay.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. I'll have to definitely post some pictures of this. It's really cool. I like pixel camera. Hey, okay. So for next week, then, what are we gonna talk about? What do we had left to get out? We were gonna do. Huh?
What should we talk about?
Well, I think there was JSON data, and then there was extensions.
Yeah. So that discussion, the way that was supposed to go was, the basis of the discussion is how do you take what you've already got in Corona and Lua and change or extend it to meet your needs, which means, for example, take an existing piece of functionality in the table library or display library and replace it with your own while retaining the original functionality to use. Then taking that part of the discussion, move forward and say, how do I extend table to add an easy save load system followed by an easy persistence system? That is a system that allows me to set up default values for like game settings and initialize that and then change them over time and always get the current settings for my game.
All right, so let's do that. Let's do that next time then.
Do you have a module
So we'll do
for that already, Ed?
Sir?
Do you have a module already drawn up for that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I've got one that I use for my own. I'll be curious to see yours because it might be an opportunity for me to improve on my own, which is great.
Well, each of us approaches it in a little different way. The thing with persisting data and setting defaults, I always find it to be a real challenge because if you know in advance that you're never going to change your default values or your default values, it's easy. But one of the things that I run into is I work with clients and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to release the app and we want the default coin count to be 100. And then they want to change their game later, like, okay, when somebody downloads it now, I want the default count to be 150.
Yeah.
And for the people who got it before, I want them to get 50 free extra coins. I'm like, oh, you do? That's great.
I mean, and there are ways of doing that. I certainly have, you know, I set up a simple, for a client project, I set up something where there is the default, and I said to them, listen, here's a little JSON file. You can host it on your website. I put in a call when the app launches. It will go, it will look for this, it'll download that, and it'll update it to whatever. And, you know, and the onus is on them. I say, you can change this text file. You put it here. Make sure this is the URL. And you know you can change that at will as you wish. Mm-hmm. Another interesting thing with settings, and something that I learned that I didn't do properly for a while, is when you're setting up that JSON table, to make sure that you have a table entry for version number, because I realize when later on when you make an update, you know want to be able to change things or not change things based on that.
And make it something that you can't forget to update.
Yeah.
So, as I've done many times, you go through all the work to do the change so that people can get a new version of the app, get the new features, but it's based on having the old version versus the new. Then you forgot to update it. And you're like, oh wait, still version 125? Great.
Yeah. It's like you said though. I think this is something that we all sort of develop our own methods for handling. They're probably remarkably similar, but I think it'll be a good discussion because I think everybody has something to learn from other people's use cases.
Yeah, and Graham Ransom, the guys at Glitch Games have their own solution too.
About not forgetting to change the version number, you can have two files. One is a JSON file and another file that holds version number, and you can concatenate version number with a JSON file name. So you create a new file name, JSON, and you don't delete the old version of the JSON, and you update the version number text file. What does it do is that you can easily roll back to your old version if you need to.
That's not, yeah. I never had to worry about going backwards, but if you did, it would be a pita. And I won't explain what pita is. You'll have to look it up on your own.
It's bread. You put stuff in it, and it's delicious.
Exactly, that's what it is.
UrbanDictionary.com. All right, guys. Well, there you go. We're going to leave it there. Next week we will talk about extensions, which will lead us into a conversation about loading and saving JSON data, and then we'll talk about button persistence.
Yeah, well, it's all wrapped up in the same kind of discussion.
Okay. And then if we have some time, we'll watch some cat videos on YouTube together.
Hey! That's it. We're going to give people that, teacher. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us and spending some time with us and having some laughs. And we'll be here next Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific to talk all about mobile app development using Corona SDK. Until then, have a great week and happy coding.